And now I want to turn to some comments that Senator Rand Paul made to me, not last night. Last night I interviewed him and broadcast that interview about the Wuhan Institute of Virology. But, you know, you can't have a leading Republican senator, you can't sit down with a leading Republican senator and not ask him what he thinks is going to happen with Donald Trump. So I did, and here's what he had to say.
They're charging him with like 90 years in prison. Even if you look at our sentencing guidelines for someone who's never committed a crime, and they put through all the different point system, he's facing between 17 and a half years and 22 and a half years in prison. That is outrageous, and nobody in the world thinks that's fair. Nobody in our country thinks that's fair, and nobody believes that Biden will be held to the same standard.
But do you think he would still be the Republican nominee for president, or do you think this would impact on that?
Well, we don't have any limitations. In fact, another person who was prosecuted for the Espionage Act was Eugene Debs, the most famous socialist candidate in our country. And while I despise socialism, I'm all for the freedom to allow socialists to run, even back then. And I think it was a mistake to put him in jail. He ran from jail in 1916 against Woodrow Wilson. And I think he got over 1 million votes from jail.
Wow.
So you can run from jail. It's not the ideal location for campaigning, but you can run from jail. Let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Well, 1 million votes from jail wouldn't quite cut it for Trump. He needs about 82 million or something, Paul Murray. But do you think it could actually come to this, Trump running from prison?
The process, which begins middle of August, is when the trial will take place. That's the first date. But that will be delayed, that will be delayed, that will be delayed. And then obviously there's plenty of opportunity for this, even between, at the end of it, sentencing, we're starting to get towards the back half of 2024. I think the polls are telling us two very clear things, which is Americans desperately want to dump Biden, right? He's got right track, wrong track is 74%. Right. They desperately want to dump. But more people hate Trump than like Trump. So exactly the same scenario as 20, where the best thing going for Biden was Trump, will be the same again in 24. Again, I say it every week, until I see some data from the states that he won in 16 coming back to him in 24, sure, he's going to ramp it home for the Republican nomination. DeSantis has not fired. DeSantis has made a series of really bad choices. The expectation that he'd just be the not Trump guy and that would get him over the line. Well, the reality is that if you're a Trumper this deep into the world of Trump, you don't care anymore. You're with him all the way to the end, all the way to jail and beyond, and those numbers aren't moving. So he'll be the nominee, but based off all the data I see, he will lose.
What do you
think,
Liz?
Well, I think this whole thing is designed to keep him out of the White House, and so they will exacerbate the proceedings in order to see that happen if they can. But as you've said, and as the congressman just said, even if he's behind bars, he can still run. So it's bizarre. But
and my favourite detail, of course, is that Secret Service have to guard him in jail. 24/7 protection includes going into jail.
And he'd be saying, "No, let me just use your phone. Let me just
correct." But also depending on where
Truth Social.
But also the oddity of what state, if he ends up that Florida would be it, not New Jersey, not New York. Well, I'm pretty sure that felons can't vote in Florida. So the bizarre thing that you can't vote from jail, but you can run from jail. God love America.
What a mess! What a mess! They need two new candidates on both sides. Yeah. That's for sure. Now, I also want to ask you about woke education. We're looking at a series of drag time, story time events that have been held across the country. There's one school, Hartford College in Sydney South East, that's a startup school employed by parents, 22 students enrolled so far. So not a roaring success just yet. But this is part of the move of parents trying to push back against just how woke schools are getting in the curriculum, when it comes to gender transition, when it comes to all these sort of issues. Paul, can you understand why some parents would be frustrated enough to set up a new school?
If I was a billionaire, this is exactly what I'd be doing. Be trying to start a whole sort of new network of independent schools, independent universities, because there has to be an ability for people who want education, good qualifications to be able to go on and have whatever life you want, but not have it poisoned by the garbage that you don't want your kids to learn. I'm not talking about a bunch of people that want to sit around sort of, chanting every 10 minutes to their particular deity. I'm talking about normal people who want the education for their children that they had. And I say, if you've got the money to start this stuff up, do it, because 22 will become 200, become 2,000 pretty quickly.
Well,
100%.
Elon Musk, you talk about a billionaire. I mean, Elon Musk started his own school. I don't know where that's up to now, but he definitely did. I mean, Liz, I think there are a lot of normal parents. It hasn't become a massive issue yet in Australia like it has in the US, where it actually has affected outcomes of elections. And that's because it's not so extreme here yet. But we are starting to see the seeds of schools, just informing parents if they have even a young child who has changed genders. And this is going to gradually build.
100%. The creep of the state into the schooling system, taking over that parental role more and more, parental rights being crushed. I absolutely love what this guy, he himself is a father of 6, has started this school. I have no doubt this is going to absolutely take off because the need for it is growing more and more as more and more parents become aware of what's actually happening. They're more than happy to pass up on free state schooling to send their kids to a place like this. And I also loved reading, they're bringing back things like French, Latin, philosophy, all these lost subjects that were once such a part of a normal curriculum and a syllabus. And we had really educated people back there. Now we've got kids coming out of year 12 still don't know how to read and write properly.
Well, dare I say, teachers get paid $200,000. Like the principal should be paid $500,000. Like, set up a system that you want to succeed, and it will do. Because obviously, as soon as it's built around, some sort of philosophy that lefties can turn around and say, oh, that's just the creepy school at the end. No, in the same way that, leftier schools like Steiner schools are able to exist and do it their way, well, what about at the other end of things? So parents, rally together, do it, make your own uniform and come up with your own motto, which is hopefully better than the primary school I went to, which was Utile Dulci, pleasure through usefulness.
Oh, well, there you go. You know a bit of Latin. I assume that's
Latin. What a dream. Pleasure through usefulness.
Did it rub off?
Oh, I've been nothing
You're
but
living
useful.
that creed, Paul.
I get all my pleasure from usefulness.
All right, we're out of time. Paul Murray, we'll see you 9 o'clock tonight. Can't wait. Liz Store at 10 p.m. Thank you so much, guys.